Hello, Visual Studio virtuosos. Not sure if it works, but my name is John, and in this video, you are going to learn about 21 free Visual Studio Code extensions that you can install that will improve your experience while you're working within VS Code, the greatest IDE on the planet. Yeah, the greatest. Yeah, dude, kabunga, yeah. Now, these extensions are going to help you improve every aspect of VS Code, including theming, productivity, development, and content creation. And this ain't no clickbait. This is a genuine 2022 edition, so there's going to be some extensions which are brand new, only released this year. This ain't like some of those other videos that claim it's new, but just rehash last year's lists. Now, if you haven't come across any of my videos before, my name is John and I do weekly YouTube videos that will help you become the best developer you can be. So I do videos on programming, productivity, CMS development, and loads of useful topics. So do two things right now: smash the subscribe button and click on the like button. And as a little reward, I will show you a picture of a porcupine. Now, assuming your heart's feeling all warm and fuzzy, let's crack on and look at some of these extensions. The first category of extension that we're going to focus on is time-saving extensions. I'm going to kick things off with Project Manager. Now, you can go over to the marketplace on Visual Studio, type in Project Manager, click on the install button. Now, this isn't a new extension per se, released in 2016. However, I only found out about it about 3 months ago, and ever since I've been using it non-stop. Now, the great thing about Project Manager is it's going to give you a uniform view of all your repos within your project. So what happens is that after you install it, you'll get this amazing little folder here, and you basically got two capabilities. So on the first one, you can start your favorite folders. So this is really handy because, you know, the file and open recent only goes 10 back, and in here you can save as many as you want. The other thing, which is really handy, is that you can get access to all the repos installed on your project. So as you can see here, I'm in the settings view for it, and you can add in multiple folders here. So say you've got, like me, you've got some repositories in your POC folder, your code folder, you might have some on your D drive. Instead of having to navigate all over your PC, you can get this unified view that contains all of your repositories, and then just simply clicking on this is going to open it up in Visual Studio Code. I have found that this extension saves me from having to go from Windows File Explorer, toggling around back into VS Code. So this, I reckon, out of all of them, is the best time-saving extension out of the list. Now, number two that we're going to look at is called Thunder Client. And Thunder Client is basically Postman, but inside of Visual Studio Code. Now, I did used to use Postman all the time. However, with Thunder Client, you pretty much get all the same capabilities inside of VS Code. So after installing the Thunder Client, you will then see a little tab on your left-hand side. Clicking on this is then going to fire open Thunder Client. And as you can see, we've got some example endpoints that we can query with. So we can do gets, posts, we can do all of your REST stuff, we can include extra headers, we can add in the auth bodies, and as you can see on the right, we've got the response headers, cookies, all that kind of stuff. We can also set environments, so we've got staging and production. So yeah, this can completely replace Postman. It also means that you can be a little bit more productive. So instead of having to tab in between different tools, we can just stay in Visual Studio Code, make sure we don't break that flow state. Now, the next tool is a time tracking tool, and the one that I favor is called WackerTime. So WackerTime. Now, this extension is really handy. What happens is you install it, you have an API key, put those two things together, and Visual Studio will start tracking your time. And what will happen is that every week you'll then get sent an email, which is like this, where we can see this weekly report, and it's going to show you a load of stats and a breakdown of where you spent your time this week. So as you can see, this week I spent 8 hours and 57 minutes programming. I've been working on my Next.js blog, this RTS builder. You can see that I've mainly been doing a bit of JavaScript, a bit of Markdown. You can also see that I've only been working within VS Code, the best editor on the planet. Yeah. Now, WackerTime is really good. Again, it's free. So basically just go over to wackertime.com. You can go over to this button here, click on supported IDEs. From here, you're going to basically see a list which says Visual Studio Code. Click on the install guide, and then from here, follow the instructions, click on this link, you're going to get yourself a little API key, add that in Visual Studio, like these instructions tell you, and then you're going to get that weekly email, job done, very, very handy. The next category of extensions are going to deal with aesthetics, so how VS Code looks. And there's basically two categories. I think there's themes and icon packs. Now they are loads and loads of different themes for VS Code. The one that I've been digging this year is called Cappuccini Noctis. Yeah, it could be Italian, maybe. Created by a legend called Alex Dunhauer, so kudos to that guy. It's got 800 installs and it's only been released about a month. I'm basically going to have this extension, I think, this theme for the rest of the year. So it's based on the Cappuccini palettes, which I've never really heard of before. However, I think the plugin really stands out. So this is an example of the plugin in action. Some of the things that I definitely like are on the highlighted file. When something's open, you can see we've got this nice little pink and white line. We also get this white highlight down the sidebar here to make things a bit easier to differentiate between. Quite like the purple, which stands out here. Now the actual color palette when it comes to the code files, quite nice and muted, I think. Definitely won't give you any eye strain. So you can see we've got some nice sort of like pastel colors for our using and our namespaces. For the HTMLs, we're going to have our tags in red, attributes in yellow, the content or the value in green. For our C#, if I can find a C# file, yeah, you can see again, it's all nice and muted. I think it's really pleasing on the eye. So I recommend you give this one a bash. Now the other category of icon themes that we're going to install is an icon pack. And again, there's loads of different icon packs. The one this year that I'm really liking is called Icons by Mohammed Talhoy. And you can tell this one is popular because it's only been around since January, 8,000 installs already. Now, here's an example of some of them. Now, the reason why I like this one is because it just really goes with that Cappuccino Noctis. So let's have a look at it in action. So after installing this plugin, when you open your Solution Explorer, you're going to notice you're going to get all these cool looking icons to the side. So as you can see, you're going to get a C# logo for C# files. You're going to get a little command prompt or bash one on the CMDs. Nice little cog. I think if you've got the JavaScript or TypeScript, you can have a JS or TS one here. Yeah, with the CSS, you're going to get, a CSS logo. So I think personally, these two icon packs and theme extensions combined, really nice, gives my Visual Studio a brand new look. So yeah, I'm really digging this aesthetic at the moment. So I recommend you give them a check out. The next category of extensions focuses on improving our development experience inside of Visual Studio IDE. And these are things that I use all the time. And the first set that we're going to focus on are going to be the things which will help us differentiate between the different elements on a page. And I find these really, really useful to help me code quicker and quickly code read things. So the first one we're going to do is a CSS essential, definitely not new, called Color Highlight by Sergey Namov. And let's open up a CSS file. After installing this extension, you're going to get these color little boxes every single time that you define a hex value within your CSS file. And what you'll also note is you can also see where the colors have been defined in CSS on the sidebar. So yeah, this is really handy to give you a quick visual indication about which bit of hex code maps to which areas within your CSS. Now the next category is the indent rainbow. And again, I find this one really, really useful. So hopefully you can see it's a bit more muted, but when you install this plugin, every single time you do an indent, it's going to get given an automatic color. And all the colors are really dark and muted, so they don't really stand out. So if you can kind of see, is the first indent's kind of orange, the second one here is green, the next one is purple, and this one is like a dark grey color. But using this plugin, it's much more easier to get a clear representation of the structure of the code. Now this, combined with another plugin, which is called Rainbow Brackets by Mohammed Talhoy again, that guy's being a legend, also only released in 2022, if you can see there, a bit small. But bracket pair colorizer is going to do a similar thing. So basically every single time you do a parentheses or a curly brace, it's going to basically assign a different color. So as you can see, our opening parentheses is orange, then it's automatically switched to a pinky color, then like a browny color, and then our square brace is blue. So yeah, installing this plugin is going to allow you to more easily identify the different elements on the page. And as you can see, when this is combined with color indents, yeah, it just makes it much easier to work on a file. Now the next extension is called Power Mode. Yeah, Power Mode. And this is basically just going to allow you to see where on screen your cursor is. So this is kind of cool. It's kind of like dorky as well, but it's done by Cody Hoover. And what happens with this extension is you install it, when you start tippy tapping away, you get flames. Flames. So in order to get flame mode enabled, install the plugin, go to the power mode set of features. So just go to the file, preferences down here, settings, type in or find power mode. So first you want to enable it. You want to change the presets to flame mode. And then something which really bugs me about this is the shake. So if you don't set the shake to 0, what will happen is the whole screen will constantly move whenever you type. It just makes it really annoying. So with those 3 things set, this is a very useful plugin, I find. Next up, we have more rainbow. Again, it's something which helps us differentiate, but this time with the svr files, CSVs. So going back here, after installing this plugin, you're going to get differentiating colors in any CSV file. So again, it just makes it that much easier to visually see the different columns. Very nice and very beautiful. And last, we've got auto tag rename or auto rename tag by Jun Han. This has been installed like 9 million times, so there's a good chance that you're familiar with it. But basically what happens is, let's have a tag here called my John. As soon as I update this tag, the bottom one here is going to auto update as well. So this can be really handy because no one wants to do this tag matching anymore. It's very painful. So this plugin is kind of essential whenever you're writing any type of HTML. The next set of extensions are going to be very useful for us JavaScript and HTML developers. And the first one is definitely a game changer after you start using it. That is Turbo Console Log. Now we all know that we can probably use debug statements. However, when we're trying to figure out when things have gone wrong, all of us pretty much turn to console.log to write things out to the console, help us find more contextual information about things. Now, having to manually write a console.log, write in the file name, maybe the where, the line number, the method name, takes time. So the great thing about this extension is, as soon as you just install it, double click on the variable you want to console.log, do a Control-Alt-L, boom! Did you see that? No coding required. What will happen is the console log will get generated. It will put the file name, the line number, the method, and it will also put in the parameter. So yeah, this can save you so much time over the course of a day, because banging out console.logs is just a one-liner now. Now the next one, which I find fairly useful, is import cost. Now if you care about performance, what will happen with this extension installed is that once you go to any of your imports, you'll see that automatically the file size gets imported as well. So if you really want to concentrate on making sure your bundle size is as small as possible, and you don't accidentally install some module which is stonking big, which is going to really kill all your page performance times, yeah, you can actually have a quick squiz, make sure that everything is reasonable that you import. Now next up is a extension of the future, kind of. And tab 9 basically gives AI auto completion for JavaScript, TypeScript, blah blah blah. Now it is actually really cool what it does. It's been around for a little while, but let's have a look at it in action. So let's say I want to do a new date. So if I just do const, without shouting, so const date, space. And as soon as you see I do a space, I've got loads of auto suggestion here. And automatically it knows that I'm going to create a new date. So if I do space again, boom, job created for me. And then if I say I want to do const album, because this is an album, I can do album equals new, and then it's got basically, it's analyzed my code, it knows what classes I've got available. So if you're very forgetful, you can't remember your class names, If you just want to use AI to give you suggestions and prompts about what you're trying to do, yeah, tab 9 is basically going to save you a load of time, and it's going to make you that much more productive. Yeah, it's free to download. There's obviously paid versions, all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's going to take your programming to the next level. Now, I won't go into this one, but just like you have ESLint, we can also install Prettier Now by Remy Marshall. So this has been downloaded, nearly 500,000 times. It's been out for a little while, like 5 years. But yeah, it's just basically an opinionated JavaScript formatter. So when you click save, your code's going to be formatted nicely for you. So again, instead of having to piss around, move things up and down, click save, use a tool, it's going to make your life much easier. And the last one is a goodie, but a classic, Live Server. So if you're doing any kind of HTML development, what will happen is once you install the Live Server, so let's say 3D boxes here, at the bottom of your screen, it's very bright so I can't see, you'll see a little live view or go live button. Clicking on go live is basically going to fire up a web server, and you can then automatically run all your JavaScript and your HTML inside of a browser within a web browser. So I use this all the time, recommend it. So these things will definitely make your JavaScript life much better. We are down to the final hurdle, only 4 more extensions to go, and they're all focused on content creation. So let's bang through these within a few seconds. So first up, we have Polar Code. Polar Code is really useful if you need to share code around the team, either via email, you're updating content on a blog and you want to add in code snippet, or maybe even you're writing a book. Now what Polar Code will do will allow you to paste in some code, and it will generate a snapshot of that code, and it's much easier to send around an image of some code rather than trying to format it because it all looks squiffy. So let's have a look at this in action. Let's open up this HTML file. So what you want to do is command palette, type in Polar Code, you'll get this view right here. So let's copy this head section here, for example, paste it into there. What will happen is we're going to generate this image now. So clicking on this save button right down here is going to generate an image for us. Now if we look at the desktop now, you can see that this image has been created, and it's going to be much easier and much better looking to share this code around a team rather than just pasting some code directly. Now next up, we've got 2 plugins which will help you write Markdown better. So if you do readmes or you're writing a book. So the first one, Markdown Preview Enhanced by Yi Wang. And this is basically going to give you a preview. So as you type, you can see what your Markdown looks like. Now when you're writing Markdown, you also want to install Markdown lint, installed 3 million times. This is basically going to give you the rules for writing valid Markdown. And if you don't have this, it's very easy to write funky looking Markdown. So let's have a quick example. So here's my Markdown file. Let's put line 1 as 2 headings because I'm a little scallywag, which is invalid Markdown. And as you can see, I've got this prompt here which says, no, the first line should be an H1, so you know that you need to update it. So it'll do loads of things, like saying that your links are wrong or your images are wrong, that kind of stuff. And if I just right click on it and then click on the Markdown Preview Enhanced, what will happen is I'll get a side-by-side view of my Markdown and how it's going to look. So yeah, these 2 things combined, it's basically going to up your Markdown content creating skills. Now the next one is called Code Speller, and yeah, pretty much everyone knows this plugin. Is that what happens is after you install it, you're going to get a prompt whenever you make some type of spelling mistake, and by doing a control full stop, you're going to get a list of recommended suggestions, so you can install it and fix it really easily. So yeah, we all know Code Spell Checker. It's literally been downloaded like 4 million times. It's definitely the best spell checker for VS Code. Finally, but not least, is trailing spaces. Let's be honest, you probably don't need to install trailing spaces. What this does is that every single time you click save, it's going to delete all the white space. So as you can see here, we've got some white space at the end. It's being highlighted by this red warning issue, and whenever I click save, it disappears. In order to enable this functionality, after you install it, go to Preferences, Settings, search for trailing white space, trailing. And then what you want to do is trim on save. There'll be a setting somewhere here which it says trim on the save. There we go, this one here. So enable that and you'll get that capability. And there we have it, folks, my 2022 Visual Studio Code extension guide. Really hoping that you found some inspiration from that list and that you have found one or more game-changing extensions. Now, one of the things I love about VS Code, and it's probably why I'm such an extension nerd, is that when you find one of these extensions, really can improve your workflow and make life much easier. So, what did you think about this list? Did you agree with things? Do you think that I've left something out? If you do, interested to hear all of your thoughts and comments in the sections below, so let me know what you think I'm missing out on. If you liked this video, let me know by hitting like. Hitting like basically means you want me to do more visual code, more extension videos, so yeah, let me know. And it also helps with the YouTube algorithm gods. Now, aside from that, it's that point where I need to sell all my services, so smash the subscribe button if you don't want to lose my face on the internet, and no one wants to lose this face. Probably, maybe, hopefully. Otherwise, if you want to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, the link is below. You'll basically get some industry news. I basically send a lot of links around Visual Studio extensions in there, so click on that. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are, and until the next time, happy coding.